How do you not forget a language? Let's say you are a B2, C1. It doesn't matter the language because the idea behind it is pretty much the same. So once you get there, what do you do so you don't lose that? This video is going to be useful for any language learner, I would say, but especially for people who already have a good level and they're just a bit worried that they don't want to lose what they have, because it totally makes sense. Learning a language, it takes so much discipline, it takes so much effort. It just makes sense that you will worry. If the video ended here and I could only tell you one thing: start consuming entertainment just in the way you do with your native language. It's that easy, yeah? Just think of the things you naturally do, the things that come very natural. So let's say, you're with friends, you're with family, and you watch a show, you watch a TV show, you watch a series, you listen to music, you follow people on social media. It's quite funny because whenever I go on TikTok, I think the TikTok algorithm must be very confused because I'm scrolling and there's one video in French, there's one video in English, one video in Catalan, one video in Spanish. So it's quite crazy, but I love it because, I go on social media and I'm getting that input. And what I love is that it's meaningful input. It's native speakers speaking very casually, very naturally, just like you would speak with a friend. And that is why I think if you want to keep your skills when it comes to languages, you need to be following people. Different people have different preferences when it comes to social media. I know some people prefer to watch videos on YouTube, some people prefer to scroll on Instagram, TikTok, some people like Twitter, not Twitter anymore, X or something. Try to follow people on all of these platforms that speak your target language. You need that. It's going to be so useful. Actually, I was talking about this with a student recently, and I told him that in the past I was so obsessed with learning English that I would just follow anyone that would come up. Same on YouTube, I would just subscribe, I would just follow them because I could tell that just by listening to them, I was learning so much and I was acquiring patterns subconsciously. When you are listening and it's meaningful input, you don't always need to be actively writing down new vocabulary. You need to do that sometimes, but you also need to just listen and consume entertainment in the same way that you would watch something just for fun. And the reason why I say this and I emphasize it and I'm always talking about this is that it is useful. It is so useful for you, but also it's fun. When I was in school, I was not that good at English. I only got into it when I was 16 or so I was not fluent then. I was not fluent when I was 14, 15, even 16. I think I kind of got fluent by the age of 17, 18. I didn't like it because I would get so frustrated in class that I was only learning vocabulary, just single units of vocabulary of words that were not practical, that I could do absolutely nothing with them. Back then, I also didn't travel. Like when I was a teenager, I didn't really travel with my family. So I couldn't see the point of learning English because I think if you travel, maybe you kind of get an interest for languages because you say, it's fun because now I'm here and I can communicate with people. And so it was just like every year we would have these textbooks. And then, there's one unit that you learn about the house and the kitchen and all of these things that I just could not care less. So I obviously didn't enjoy it. And when I started seeing the point and when I started appreciating the beauty of languages was when I had this connection with a different culture. And the way you do that is by trying to connect with people. And social media is great in this sense because you don't need to be in that country. You could be following creators. It's just the best input you could get. Also, podcasts are great because they are like conversation. So it's like you would be having a conversation with a friend. And if you do this repeatedly, it will get to a point where it will just come natural. It will come very naturally. You know, you will want to do something and then you will automatically just do it in your target language. You don't have to go as far as I did because I mean, you can if you want, but I remember like a couple of years ago, I would do everything in English. Like for me, English became a lifestyle. I would read in English, I would watch series in English, I would do absolutely everything. Like if I wanted to do yoga, I would look it up in English. And you know, if I wanted to, you know, when you type something on Google because you want to find out about something, I would also do it in English. And even nowadays, I don't realize, and I'm just like typing in English. That's what becoming fluent really is, when you don't need to know every single word in that language. You don't need to memorize every single word. Like nowadays, there are words, I encounter words that I don't know. So there are two types of words. One of them being, okay, I've never seen this before and I've got absolutely no idea what it means, but I don't care because I can see just with context that it's not useful for me. And then there is another kind of word that I don't fully understand, but I could follow. Like if it came up in conversation, I would be able to follow and I would be able to carry on even if I didn't understand that word 100%. As a language teacher, I can see how a lot of people struggle when they don't know the meaning of every word and they confuse that with not being fluent. But really, being fluent does not entail that you know all of the vocabulary in a language. That's not what being fluent is. The language you use daily. Do you know every single word in that language? Because I read in Spanish and I'm always learning new words. So think about it like that. And you would never say that you're not fluent in your mother tongue. So just get comfortable with not knowing every single word. If you don't know a word, be okay with it. And don't let it tell you that because you don't know that, you failed as a language learner. I can understand how a lot of people give up on language learning because it can be very frustrating, especially if you don't have someone to guide you, if you don't have someone to help you with the language, but also with your mindset, because I feel like both are crucial for you to succeed as a language learner. Read, watch a lot of stuff in that language, okay? Very, very important. And then what about speaking? Because you obviously need to speak, right? That's a skill you need. Well, my advice is find people on the internet, make friends, and stay in touch with them. So there are a lot of platforms. I remember in the past I used to use Tandem a lot. I used it for years and I remember I would practice my English with strangers there. And it was really cool because I don't know if you've used it, but basically it's like really well thought because you write a message and then the other person can reply and correct you. So I remember I would be talking to someone, I would be texting someone, and then I would screenshot every mistake I would make. And then over the weekend, I would be like, okay, I need to learn this because I don't want to make this mistake again. So yeah, find someone, maybe someone nice, someone you share interests with. A very obvious one is to find a tutor, to find an online teacher. So I always say when people ask me that 60 minutes is very good for people who are very motivated with the language. Then I also offer 30 minutes, and 30 minutes I like to offer it to people that maybe have very busy schedules, but they still prioritize language learning. And you know, if you do 30 minutes every week with a language expert, you talk to someone that can guide you and help you, I can promise you, you will see the difference. Even just with 30 minutes, it can absolutely make a difference. Obviously, the more time you put, the better. That goes without saying. But you know, if you have more time, 45 minutes, 60 minutes, that's better. But if you still want to prioritize 30 minutes every week, you know, you can make time for that. And I always say that language learning changed my life. Learning English and getting fluent, becoming fluent in English, changed my life for the better. I used to believe that I was not intelligent. I'm not the kind of person that, you know, you teach me something and I automatically learn it. For me, it takes quite a long time and I need to put in hours and hours. And so I used to believe that I was not intelligent, but then I got really obsessed with English, and I think learning English and becoming fluent helped me with my self-esteem and helped me with my confidence. It just made me believe in myself again in a way, because I was like, if I can do this, if I can learn a language to this level and, you know, communicate, I can do anything. You know, that was my thought process, and so it just changed my life.